We did a poll on Twitter today. Do you think California already has the technology needed to get to 100% clean power? 250 votes, split 50-50. Half the people think we need more technology. Half the people think we have all we need. Steve Malnight, which is it? Do we have everything we need? We've got to deploy it, or do you have to create new innovation?
No, I think we need new innovation. There's a lot of things that sit in the theory today that are very promising, but I think we've got to prove them out and understand the complexity of actually integrating these things onto the grid and how you run the system to make sure we maintain the reliability that we need.
Mark Jacobson, where does the new innovation need to happen? Where are the big breakthroughs that you see that need to happen to get to 100%?
Well, let me preface it. I think with existing technology, if you deploy it, you'll get new innovation along the way because deployment drops the cost, there's more money available for research, and so you can then, but we do not need a miracle new technology. So it's maybe fine-tuning existing technologies, using them on larger scales, especially these storage technologies that are really used in a lot of example places, but we've never had a need for these large-scale clean renewable energy storage before. So these are, so I think we, but I think that the biggest barriers, if you're asking that, are really practical things like zoning for long-distance transmission. Getting offshore wind, floating offshore wind turbines. I mean, once you have floating offshore wind turbines commercialized, then the game is over because there's just endless amounts of offshore wind on the West Coast, East Coast, US, and around the world. So I think it's really deployment that will generate more improvements of technologies, plus some better policies that will put in place to speed up certain things like floating turbines and long-distance high-voltage direct current transmission.
Mark Farron, you've worked in Silicon Valley in innovation. You've worked in Sacramento in regulation. What's the role of government and private companies in driving this innovation that we're talking about?
Well, I think the role of government is to set the rules, make them as clear as possible, and then try to get out of the way and let the innovation happen. I think that's really the fastest way for this to come about. And just to dovetail what Mark was just saying, I think there's really not a need for some giant miracle breakthrough in the hardware space. I think the hard technology that we have around electricity generation, of course there are improvements that are happening all the time. Wind turbines are getting more and more efficient, et cetera. But the basics of that, I think, are largely well understood. It's the soft stuff. It's the software piece of this. It's how it knits together, how it's integrated, how it's managed. I think that's the biggest obstacle, and I think that's where the biggest dividend will come in. And I mean, the good news in all that is in a sense, the specialty of Silicon Valley. And so on those grounds, I'm quite optimistic that as we lay the foundation from a policy standpoint and we get more hardware in the ground, as it were, and people begin to work on ways to optimize that, to make it more efficient, to make it more resilient, I think we're going to see some real dividends.